everybody. Welcome into the Radio Misfits show. I am... Hold on. Problems. And James is here. Hi, James.
Hey there. All right.
I've seen better days, my friend.
How's the matter with you?
Air conditioning, cold. That just, it's... What's the matter with me? Well, I've been existing in a climate that has been about 110 degrees for the last 120 days. So this is a little bit foreign to me. I'm not built for this. I don't have that spicy Latino blood like you do. I come from a fish belly white island dwelling people, but not a good island like one of them rocky islands where there's no beaches and it's no sun. This ain't good. I get colds from air conditioning. Too long, if I'm exposed to an air conditioner for too long, I tend to get a really bad cold from it.
Well, can we just jump into what I want to jump into first?
Well, okay. I see no reason to waste any time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the big stage, James. Oh, wait.
Well, we had...
Hold on. I wanted to make you big. How did I make me big? No. It's getting worse.
You're sloppy.
All right, go ahead, James. It's all you.
Okay, so I regaled you with the tale of Coffee City, the town of 250.
Yes, for those of you who may not be familiar, it's a city that's right next to James. It's a little bit sketchy. James, tell people about the police department there. Don't they have like only 30 people in the town, but 50 police officers, something crazy like that?
249 people in Coffee City, 50 police officers, as of about a month or so ago. It's been whittled down by more than half since the police chief pissed off the constable of Harris County, the county of Houston.
Houston, that's a big one.
And so they basically flipped the table and said, we're just going to tattle on your little scam here since you're going to give us help.
Now, this, again, we bring this up. There's a big article today about, I guess, the National Federation of County Sheriffs are all meeting in Washington, D.C., as they do. And there's a whole big conversation about how county sheriffs are being forced from coast to coast to just sort of absorb these small town police stations that are going out of business. And here in Texas, we've got a town of 250 people with 50 cops. So yeah, I'd say there's some kind of a scam afoot.
Yeah. And so when this guy pissed off the wrong people, they tattled on him and they let the media know, and they released all kinds of documents. So it's clear. I mean, I don't know, but the evidence is most likely Occam's razor or whatever, that him pissing off the constable had little minions going and releasing documents to, Channel 11 in Houston, fueling an investigation and getting this guy not only kicked out of his apartment job detailing or private security detail, but now here's the update, he's been suspended.
He was the chief of police, but he also had like a side hustle at an apartment complex where he employed a whole bunch of his other cops. And Coffee City Police Chief has now been suspended after KHOU 11 investigation. Let me ask you, James, Coffee City, would that be in the Houston metropolitan area?
No, man, it's like 200 miles away. It's a 3-hour drive.
Right. So I thought. So why is Houston why is Harris County? Oh, because one of the guys was also a Harris County deputy or something like that, right? Wasn't there one of the dudes?
Here's the situation is they can charge bunch by saying that they're off-duty police officers, and they're allowed a lot more latitude. They're allowed to, carry guns and whatever. But in order to be off-duty police officers, they have to be employed somewhere. So most of them live in Houston, and they are just air quotes employed in Coffee City, but never go to Coffee City.
Right. They're Coffee City cops, but they're not actually there because, as it was explained, they're on warrant detail. So most of the warrants that they have to serve are people who are in Houston. So that's why they live there.
They're supposedly work from home.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, trying to serve it's a total farce, but it's a way that this guy's managed to corral a decent little side hustle with a bunch of security detail. But there's laws that he's been breaking this whole time. If you're a full-time cop, you're supposed to get base pay and benefits, and they weren't. They were just commission only. It was clearly just a farce.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the latest now. He's officially been suspended for 30 days with pay pending
Oh,
an independent investigation. Yeah, so there's going to be an investigation, but I don't know how anyone worms their way out of this. One of the obvious things is he's only been the police chief there for a couple years, and the police force has more than quadrupled since he got there.
yeah.
So, I mean, every
Again,
obvious suspicion that could be raised.
250 people in this town, 50 police officers.
Right.
Seems a little excessive.
Yeah, and you know what? I chopped up a nice little version of what we did last Thursday in our Tales from Bug Tussle, and
Oh,
yeah, I think I'm gonna have to tag this maybe on the end of it. So
please. Let me ask you a question, a related question. Doesn't really have to do with this story specifically, but let me ask you about your place in life. You're a man in your mid 40s. You got a whole shoe filled with kids. Uh, do you have a problem with being involved in illegal activity like at this stage of your life? Do you care, like a hustle, a scam, something that might like think about what these guys did. These guys figured out a scam. There were some paychecks being cashed. Sure, there was some no-show jobs and all that stuff. There was a scam and a hustle going on there. At this stage of your life, are you like me? I'll put it to you this way. I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like, all right, let's try it. Let's go. I don't care. Cause it's like I just didn't want to spend my 40s in jail. You know what I mean? But like 60s or whatever.
you have nothing to lose. It's
I
not
got
like
nothing to lose. It's like, why not? I mean, I'm not going to sell drugs or run girls. And as long as it's a victimless crime, like if it's a way for me to steal from the taxpayer coffers, I am all in because that's victimless. That is absolutely victimless because we are all, in fact, the victims of that. And people have been doing it for years. So suddenly I'm the bad guy. But you know what I mean? Like, I think all the time, I'm like, could I perpetrate a scam? And I'm like, I think I might be at the age now where I could. Because if I got away with it, it'd be fantastic. Just, like just suddenly we're rich.
right, but you're minimally employed. It's not like if you go to jail for a little while, your whole business collapses and everything you've worked for all these years implodes. You're not risking a job where you're making six figures. I don't know what you make, but yeah, I'm just guessing. We're not giving up a whole bunch to be in a scam, right? I would miss a whole lot of,
Yeah, I
birthdays.
think that's part of the reason why I'm willing to go into the scam. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Kudos.
So if you go a little further down that spectrum, you'll notice a pattern in so many of these guys that were caught up in this scam, and that is they are former. Now, before they worked at Coffee City, they were law enforcement officials in other jurisdictions, and more than half of them, I believe 30 out of the 50 people on the police force, had been let go from other law enforcement officer positions for not good reasons.
Yeah, because they were bad cops.
Yes.
And this was just
So, if you're already a crooked cop and you've already been busted for being a crooked cop and you're never going to get another straight cop job in your life, I think that would weigh heavily on your decision. Not that it would make it right or wrong, but it's a different set of circumstances than if I was approached to do a scam. No, I don't have anything on my record. Why would I risk it? I can still go get a job at a bank if I wanted to.
and yeah, there you go. And that's what I want to do. But if I get some kind of like terrible blood work results, you know what I mean? Where it's like really bad, I'm going to rob a bank. I'm going to rob a bank. If I know I'm going out anyway, I'm going to rob a bank. I think I have figured out a way to rob a bank. And it's the old school way, not techno or anything. You walk in.
For the safe. You don't go for the safe.
Well, that is absolutely true, James. That is one of the very important things. Don't dick around with that. There's going to be enough money in the drawers. Make sure you pick enough a branch that has multiple tellers working. You go into a branch and there's like 10 teller slots, but only one is working. No. Pick a downtown location. Location doesn't really matter. Police response. I am giving away too much. Yes, I've given a lot of thought to this. But if I ever get like a bad cancer diagnosis, I'm like, or if like, Parkinson. No, maybe I might get caught.
I could be the handoff. I don't want to go into the bank, but once you get out and you're on the run, you can hand off the money to me and they'll keep chasing you. And when they catch you, you won't have anything and I'll be on the other side of town.
There you go. And there ain't nobody that I'd rather spend the spoils of my risk than you and your lovely family. So
I know how I'd get out of it because I would find the manhole, get the little tool open a manhole cover, go underground. There ain't no helicopter that can follow me. I'm good to go.
I'll tell you something else about my bank robbery. Ain't nobody getting shot except maybe me. Me, maybe. But again, remember, I got the bad blood work. So I already know. I got no worries. Whatever. But nobody's going to get shot because I'm not going to have a weapon.
We'll get you some level 4 plates in your vest.
No, I think that's part of the fun. Let's see if I can really get away with it. Maybe I'll take hostages, but it'll be a cool situation. Like I'll let the hostages in on it. I'll be like, none of you guys are going to get hurt. I'm going to play this out, see if I can get on TV. At that point, you're going to jail.
Jeff, I am most certainly not robbing my small town bank. I would be Swiss cheese before I got back to the truck.
Yeah.
The people around here are just dying to shoot somebody.
Right.
It's so funny. They just can't wait. People are just carrying, some of them open carry and stuff. And I think about a third of the dudes around here are concealed carrying. And bad move, dude. Bad move. Don't rob anything around here.
My plan to rob a bank involves a major metropolitan downtown bank at high noon on a Friday. I want the bank as crowded and as busy as possible. I'm going to rob this bank and ain't nobody even going to know it. I'm going to walk right out and blend in with the crowd. That's my plan.
Dude, but stop. You're getting me excited.
I'm telling you, I've been thinking about this for years, man. I think I know how to walk in and rob a bank and nobody's going to get hurt. But of course, I have to get that terminal diagnosis from a doctor first before I'll try that. Hey, speaking of something else that I only try after a terminal diagnosis, James, can we talk a little bit about Burning Man and what is happening at Burning Man and what is the attraction to Burning Man? Are you familiar at all with this event? It seems very of your generation.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, I got invited to go to Burning Man when I was in college by my database professor after I slept with her.
There you go.
So that's how I first heard about Burning Man. She's like, you should go with me and my husband. I'm like, no.
So when is this, like mid-90s and late 90s?
No, this is like 2000, 2001.
Okay. All right.
And no. But she explained it to me. They go and they stake it out and they make this little circle community out of this map that everyone already knows, even though it's not official. And it really just sounded like it was about the drugs.
Yeah.
They say it's about the music, but when they say it's about the music, and there's like for 4 days, it's about the drugs, and that's okay. You don't have to lie to me. I'm not gonna.
You're not a narc. Yeah, no, it's entirely about the drugs. It's about the drugs. It's about being remote and in the middle of nowhere, and it's about this. First of all of the stuff that they put out there. All the printed materials that talk about creating a society based on mutual respect. That's the whole marketing of it. That's what it's supposed to be. That's all nonsense. It's about a bunch of people. You know what this is? This is like what, God rest his soul, we just lost Jimmy Buffett. But you know how like once a year Jimmy Buffett would roll into town and your dentist would take mushrooms? That's what Burning Man is for a different sort of group of people. It's all the tech bros. It's the young money. It's the hustlers. It's the people who just really, they don't work 40 hours a week. They're working like 100 plus hours a week. These guys, for one little weekend, they can go out in the middle of the desert and they can do acid and actually, what are we looking at there? What is that? What are you showing me?
It's an old rave flyer. I just happen to have my memory box. I was in the studio a little bit.
Your shoebox of life?
Yeah, I have a shoebox. I can't, if it gets bigger than a shoebox, I start throwing stuff away.
You should always have a shoebox of life. You should keep all the most important things to you.
This is some goober rave I went to. I say goober.
Those made your shoebox of life. They must have been great raves.
But anyway, yeah, but whenever they say, it's about a community of mutual respect and love and peace, all I hear is drugs,
techno, same beat over and over.
Porta potties, drugs.
Chicks with underarm hair, just
maybe sex, but probably drugs.
No, there's sex, but definitely drugs. But there's sex, but it's bad, gross sex. It's sand in your butt sex. It's like it's dirty sex. Not dirty sex like fun dirty sex. It's dirty sex like you get a rash in the morning and you're not sure if it's from like the infection from, toad mud or whatever the guy. You know what I'm saying?
And when it wears off, you look and you're like, oh, she was a 6.
Yeah. So you have no interest in it. I mean, because I have always been fairly well. I've been fairly well declared for about 20 plus years that I am never going to Burning Man. That seems terrible to me.
Well, as libertine and open minded as I am, that's like on the other side of the boundary. Like if you had caught me and I could go for free when I was like 22, yeah. But like these days, no. And what I learned Burning Man was back in the day really isn't too much what Burning Man is now. Because they've added on this whole glamping thing where celebrities found out what it was like 5 years ago or so, and they'll say, "No, we were on before that." No, you
It's
weren't.
for rich people, James. It's almost exclusively for rich people at this point. It's all
Well,
this.
no, there's still there's the old school people that
Right,
are in
those
the
are the
middle.
people that are out, whatever. The cool places where everybody wants to be is where all the rich people are, and they have like did you see Diplo and Chris Rock had to be rescued? They were walking 5 miles through the mud, and then they were finally picked up, and then the dude who picked them up made a little video with Chris Rock and Diplo. It's a bunch of idiots. Paris Hilton was there. She just had a baby. She just had a baby. What's she doing at Burning Man?
No one had to be rescued because nobody was really in danger. What were y'all? What was the problem? You were in the desert and it rained, so now it's water plus dirt equals mud. So now you're getting muddy. Okay, you're no one's in danger though.
Well, there was no food. There was no food, and one person did die. I mean, there were dangers. There's a trench foot outbreak. Did you hear about that? 10,000 people with trench foot. That's a World War I disease that hasn't been around since World War I. And now suddenly trench foot is back. This is the history of Burning Man.
There's a few things that Burning Man has in common with World War One.
Burning Man began as a bonfire ritual on the summer solstice. Sculptor Mary Grauberger, a friend of Larry Harvey's girlfriend, Janet Lohr, held solstice bonfire gatherings on Baker Beach for several years in San Francisco prior to 1986, some of which Harvey attended. When Grauberger stopped organizing it, Harvey picked up the torch with Grauberger's permission and ran it. He and Jerry James built the first wooden effigy on the. That's what Burning Man is, a big wooden effigy. He and Larry built the first wooden effigy on the afternoon of June 21st, 1986, cobbled together using scrap wood to be torched later that evening. On June the 22nd, 1986, Larry Harvey, Jerry James, and a few friends met on Baker Beach in San Francisco and burned an 8-foot-tall wooden man, as well as a smaller wooden dog. Harvey later described his inspiration for burning these effigies as a spontaneous act of radical self-expression. Oh, God. These people.
Tell me you've never accomplished anything in your life without telling me you've never accomplished anything in your life.
Well, he did accomplish something, though. He's the CEO of Burning Man, James. Do you see how much that sucks? I'm sure he's got a very nice house in San Francisco.
I hope he's made millions, tens of millions of dollars. I hope and he just still floats this stuff out there.
So anyway, this brings us towards. I was just wondering if you had any interest in going. I have no interest in going, but there's still people trapped there. James, you laid it out without us having to explain the story. Some rains came through. It's the desert. Some rains came through, and there was historic rains, and it became flooded and muddy, and then they couldn't get. Nobody could get out because nobody, even though they have 4-wheel drives and stuff, the mud that was created by these rains in the desert are like not normal mud because it's desert. Okay. I don't know. It's screwed up. Go ahead.
I don't want to go, not because I don't want to go, but because I can't, number one, afford to go. I have 4 kids and I can't take them. If I take my wife, then I got to arrange for, my kids to go to school and whatnot for an entire week while me and my wife go off and do what are you doing? We're going to Burning Man. Yeah, we're just going to go do drugs for 5 days. It'll be fine. Also, if someone swooped in, like if Emil showed up and he was like, "Hey, Parker, if you take off work, I'll pay for everything. We're going to go with Chris Rock and Diplo to Burning Man," that would change my answer. That's
okay. No, great. Yeah, I would too. Here's how I would go. Okay, obviously, Chris Rock and Diplo, you go hang out with them. I'm not going to Burning Man. Where I'm hanging out with them is now secondary. The thing that I'm doing is hanging out with them, right? I don't care where that is.
I can see scenarios where I would go to Burning Man.
But if it's just like me and my buddies, they're like, "Hey, let's go to Burning Man this year, dude. Yeah, that'll be awesome, man. Let's go to Burning." I'm like, no, I will not be into that. Here's how I might be able to do it, and I don't understand why more people didn't do this. Like, how did Chris Rock not have this hooked up? Like, I would go there if I could go in a helicopter and you land me, and then I drive in a golf cart to wherever the air conditioned RV is that I'll be staying for a couple of days. And then if I can helicopter out, but I ain't driving through that just seems awful. Seems ugh. Have you ever driven through the Nevada desert? It is an awful drive. It's beautiful for like 10 miles.
I certainly have not driven through the Nevada desert at any point ever. But it's what, like an hour from Reno, right? Isn't that sort of?
I don't know. I have no idea where it is. It's in the middle of the desert.
So, well,
no cell service. I know that too. They have no cell service, and only a few people have satellite phones.
That's kind of cool. That's a feature, not a flaw. So,
not when there's an emergency. That's part of the problem.
Look, if you're Chris Rock, you get used to walking around. Emil probably does this, where the little debit card that you and I swipe that has like $800 on it, theirs has like $800,000 on it, right? So the world's different. You can just go to Reno without any clothes on your back and buy new clothes when you get there, and get a hotel room when you get there, rent a car when you get there, not even have to worry about it. So you notice that people like Emil, who have cash bailing them out constantly, sometimes walk a plank because of that. And that's sort of what I think Chris Rock and Diplo did.
Yeah. Barney says, if by middle of desert you mean miles from the highway. Yeah, the highway that fucking runs through the middle of the desert, Barney. Have you ever been there? What do you think? The highway's got a Howard Johnson's? It's the middle of nowhere, man. Look at it on a Google map. Like the highway somehow means civilization. No, yes, there is a highway that runs right through Death Valley. And if you're in the middle of that highway, you're in the middle of Death Valley.
All right, I'm looking at the nearest town to where the setup is, and this is some dismal. This already looks like the apocalypse happened. I mean,
it's one of those Oppenheimer test towns.
It looks like Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Remember that dystopian future movie from the 90s? Maybe not. Anyway, so like when I back it up, you can see where the little formation is for the drug fest right here.
Is that where it is? Okay, so that's all right. So pull back. Where is the closest town?
Gerlach.
This
one here. All right. And then the closest town of any significant size is Reno down here. That's great. But Gerlach at least has like a couple of restaurants and a Shell station.
That is an awful part of the country, man. It's just, you don't want to be out there.
I wonder how hard it is to get a room at the Desert Motel.
No. Imagine the nonsense that has gone on in this town, right? I mean, just like con men and schemes and people dreaming again now.
See, this collection of mobile homes, I think, is what is counting for a motel.
Oh, okay. Glamping. Right? Can't you do that? Can't you just all right. So I don't know what's going on. What's the latest going on at Burning Man? Hold on. I know it ended on Saturday, or on Sunday it ended. Or Monday. No, it was because Monday was Labor Day. Burning Man. All right. What's the latest? Well, wouldn't I like to know? The headline is, what is actually going on at Burning Man?
We have no idea.
Wouldn't we like to know? Burning Man attendees make a mass exodus after a dramatic weekend. Okay. So anyway, here, and I'll show you this. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I can't show you this because it's the Daily Mail and there's like a 30-minute commercial.
Screw 'em.
But you know what I mean? It's like like a long one. It's like 2 minutes of hold on before we show you the video. That's okay, because I got other things I want to talk to you about. James, by the way, I guess it would be your turn because I just threw out Burning Man. What do you got?
No, go ahead. I was already interested in your thing.
Good. Okay. What would you rather do? Talk about and have an update for the Diarrhea Barcelona airplane story? Are you familiar with the Delta diarrhea Barcelona airplane story?
But I don't think I want to hear that one. What's the other one?
Oh, okay. And the other one is just video of Gary Busey being Gary Busey. But we're going to do the Delta diarrhea story since it is trending #1 right now. And it has been a story that's been viral all day long. I can't believe you haven't. I watched Inside Edition, a clip on Inside. Is it Inside Edition? One of those things. I don't know. It was on YouTube where they were covering it. And we've got some video. James, if you're not familiar with the story, I know those of you on the Noontime Show are. We covered. I've got updates, though. I've got updates from the Noontime story. James, for your benefit, however, passengers on Delta Airlines flight stopped by diarrhea say it dribbled down the aisles. Okay, so James, a plane was going to Barcelona.
Oh, okay. I saw this headline.
Plane was going to Barcelona from Atlanta.
No, you're supposed to stay with the list. Barcelona.
Barcelona. All right. So the plane was going there. And somebody on the plane had explosive diarrhea. And it was so bad that 2 hours into the flight wasn't even out of the country. It was over Virginia, that the pilot
had place to have explosive diarrhea. Airplane.
Well, yeah.
Look, the worst place I've ever dry heaved was LaGuardia, but airplane would be worse.
Yeah.
And it's similar. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so the plane had to return, and everybody had to get off the plane, and the ambulance came and took the person with the explosive diarrhea off the plane. But the pilot...
No, just because you have diarrhea doesn't mean you need to go away in an ambulance.
No, James, that's the point. Yes, something was wrong. Something was wrong.
Man, if you have diarrhea so bad, you have to leave it in an ambulance. This is a level I'm not familiar with.
Okay, James. Well, you know what, you smart guy? Guess what? Because we live in this...
I have no diarrhea expertise.
Because we live in this era, we've got video of the plane. Would you like to see video from inside the diarrhea plane?
No.
Well, we're showing it. Here you go. This was taken by someone. This was after everyone got off. Now, I don't know if it's as bad as maybe we imagined, but it certainly does show that something was spilled all over the place. Here we go. This is inside the Barcelona diarrhea plane.
I did it.
Right there. Oh, God. There's poops. Oh. So, oh. Oh. Okay. Hold on. Keep going. It's the...
Are you happy now?
Okay. All right. I don't want to watch any more of that.
He left in an ambulance because I beat his ass for doing that next to me.
Oh, it was awful. They had blue. Dude, it was so bad that when the plane returned to Atlanta, they had to get everybody off the plane. Everybody had to stand around. And then they had to rip out and replace the carpeting right there. There was no saving the carpeting. Like, apparently they tried to shampoo it. Yeah. All right. So let me give you some passenger eyewitness accounts of what occurred on that flight. Passengers on Delta Airlines flight stopped by diarrhea say it dribbled down the aisles. One Delta Airlines passenger reported seeing liquid poo flowing along the aisle. Yeah. Flowing along the aisles, and flight attendants tried masking the smell with vanilla disinfectant, but it only made it smell like vanilla poo. Yeah, that's what it would do. You need Lysol. Yeah, the Lysol is the only thing I know of. I mean, you've probably had a lot of diapers. Lysol is fantastic.
I mean, a shout out to Febreze, honorable mention at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the chemical smell of Lysol. That chemical smell tells me that like there's a fight going on.
Well, you can't actually get rid of a smell. You can mask a smell.
Yeah.
But you're not actually knocking smell out of the sky when you squirt Febreze.
James, a passenger on a Delta Airlines flight that was forced to turn back after someone suffered a case of catastrophic diarrhea has claimed it dribbled down the aisles. The Delta flight was just 2 hours into its journey from Atlanta to Barcelona, Spain, when the pilot...
I'm doing it. It's a lisp. It's not Yiddish or French. It's Barcelona.
Barcelona.
It's just a TH instead of a C. Barcelona.
Barcelona.
are you doing?
I'm trying to be respectful, James. I'm trying, as someone who recognizes this as a foreign pronounced word, I'm trying to be respectful. Barcelona. When the pilot made the decision to turn the plane around and fly back to Atlanta, claiming there was a medical issue on board. Okay. In an audio transmission from the flight deck posted by an aviation enthusiast, the pilot of flight DL 194 said, "This is a biohazard issue. We've had a passenger who's had diarrhea all the way through the airplane. So we need to come back to Atlanta." That's the pilot, man.
Right. Do you understand me now? I don't know what code this is in the manual.
Yeah. All the way through the airplane, we are coming back.
Hey, you know what projectile vomiting is? Yeah, that, but the other end.
Oh, my God. Okay. Here is the printout from the, let's see, the flask of passenger diarrhea all over. Okay, so this is like the ticker readout. Goes on to say, according to someone who claimed their partner was on the plane, the person behind the fecal explosion had to be carried off by flight emergency personnel and loaded into an ambulance. Commenting under news of the fiasco on X, DW said, "My partner was on that flight. It was pretty bad. It was dribbling all down the aisle and it smelled horrible. The vanilla scented disinfectant used on it only made it smell like vanilla shit." After the plane landed, it was thoroughly cleaned. They then reboarded with new carpeting, and they arrived 8 hours late in Barcelona. Responding to questions about the incident, DW said, "The flight was met by emergency vehicles and EMTs carried the sick passenger away. My partner said the plane was cleaner when they got back on at 2 a.m. There was no smell either." Let's see here. I want to hear the pilot's call. Twitter user John Hurt, who claimed to be on board, wrote, "Both my wife and I were on the flight. It was a mess. The pilots made the right decision to turn around. The ground crew ripped." Now, if you're going on a transatlantic flight, that's a commitment and you just want it to get over with. And any sort of thing that prolongs it is not something that you are for. So I got to imagine the diarrhea was so bad that these people were like, nope. Turn around, go back. We'll delay our
trip. What the acceptable amount of diarrhea in the aisle is? None.
Yeah, well, right. No, is that true though? I mean, so you're in the middle of the Atlantic flying to Barcelona, and a baby, a diaper falls out of a diaper bag, and now there's a turd. That's an acceptable amount. You put up with that smell for a little bit. You don't turn around. The pilot was demanding to turn around.
Yeah, so. True, like a speck of poo, but you know. I'm just saying we don't need two people to have explosive diarrhea before I turn the plane around. Yeah.
No, the pilots made the right decision to turn around. The ground crew ripped out the carpet and put in new carpeting. Considering the circumstances, the ground crew did an outstanding job. Yeah, they showed up. Oh man, like this. We need emergency. We need you to quickly clean this plane. And then like maintenance dudes. Okay, these are just dudes. Maintenance dudes show up. Think of the guys who probably do maintenance at Delta Airlines in Atlanta. They show up and they got a poo-covered plane. And it's like 2:30 in the morning. 2:30 in the morning, they got a poo-covered plane.
Mm-hmm.
Is
there like bonus pay for that? Like you get time and a half?
Hey, if it returned because it was a biohazard, it should at least be hazard pay. A spokesperson for the airline told Insider, Delta Flight 194 from Atlanta to Barcelona returned to Atlanta following an onboard medical issue.
I'm so proud of you for getting that right twice.
Yeah, I'm trying. Our team worked as quickly and safely as possible to thoroughly clean the aeroplane and get our customers to their final destination. We sincerely apologize to our customers for the delay and inconveniences. All right, so there you go. All's well that ends well. They got there 8 hours late to Barcelona. And I would really love some follow-up. I would like to know how the diarrhea person is. Right? Don't you want to know?
They better have like Ebola or something.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, is this dysentery? What's going on? Does this person have like the absolute worst type of diarrhea? And also, James, something I said during the noon show, and look, I know you're enough of a pro. This is not something. when did the diarrhea start? Because I find it hard to believe that the diarrhea started while she was on the plane. If she had an inkling that diarrhea was coming, why did she get on a flight to Barcelona? You know what I mean?
Well, because it's expensive, and she only has 4 days off of work to make this dumb round trip because Auntie died that she hadn't seen in 14 years anyway. And what's she supposed to do? Delay it? No, she can't. It's not a thing you can delay.
Why did we make it a woman? We don't know who this person is. Why did we make her a woman all of a sudden? I'm all for it. I like that she's a woman.
I'm pretty sure it's a chick because they would have hammered him as a dude and used gender specific descriptions. Dude, because everyone loves making fun of a dude. We're a-holes. Everyone hates us. We're the worst people in the world. I got it. Hello?
I want to show the plane again. I want to show the plane one more time. Oh, plane to Barcelona. By the way, Poop Plane to Barcelona. That sounds like a pretty cool name for like an indie band. Dude, I'm going to see Poop Plane to Barcelona.
No, not a band, but maybe their debut album.
Poop Plane to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Diarrhea.
We're the Radio Misfits. Our first album is Poop Plane to Barcelona.
There you go. That's fine. All right, James, you got anything else? Got anything?
I got two things, and I really should have gone first if I knew you were going to throw doo-doo on the wall.
Poop Plane had to be talked about.
It didn't have to be talked about. All right. Anyway, check out this broad here.
Okay.
Do you know the tale of Ma Ferguson? You're a Yankee, so you're not expected to know this. Don't feel bad if you don't, because it's specifically a Texas history thing.
Yeah, I don't. I don't unless she like the outlaw Ma. No, that was Ma Barker.
That was Ma from the Goonies.
That's Ma Barker. All right, now go. Please tell me about Ma Ferguson. I want to learn.
Barker. Anyway, all right. So there's this dude that was born right outside of Salado. You know where Salado is at, kind of between Temple and Austin, Belton, sure. That area, Central Texas. And his nickname is Pa Ferguson. And he gets to a place where he starts a bank, and he's a banker doing pretty well. And then he gets on like the city council, and then he's like the city manager. And so he's rising up the ranks in Belton and Salado and whatever the hell, Bell County. And he gets married to this broad. Her name's like, her first two initials are M.A., so she goes by Ma, and he already went by Pa, so they're Ma and Pa Ferguson.
Sure.
Even though they're only in their 20s. They're Ma and Pa Ferguson. And so she rides his political ambitions with him all the way to the governor's seat. What, did you Google it? Don't Google it in the background.
This Byron. Ma Ferguson famously had diarrhea on a steam train.
Solid comment, Byron. Thank you. Good stuff. Yeah, so Ma and Pa Ferguson, they have their eyes set on the governor's mansion in Austin. They would Pa's running for governor. And it's pretty much a one-party state back then. So really all he has to do is win the primary, and he's going to coast. And the guy that's running against him in the primary is the current lieutenant governor. Now, they're in the same political party, but this is what the real race is. So they tear each other apart, and Pa Ferguson ends up winning. So the former lieutenant governor, scorned, who thought it was his turn to be governor, he goes and takes some job as like the dean of journalism school at University of Texas at Austin, just across the street from the Capitol, right? And is causing trouble. And so Pa Ferguson does what a lot of politicians do when they get in a position of power. They start hooking up their donors and their friends and their political allies, and they
corruption.
Yeah, just your standard fare. I'm not going to pick my political opponents for these, cushy little appointment jobs. And I'm definitely not picking someone from the other party. So he ends up winning his re-election. But, the regular grift that everyone does, you can only get away with that until you piss off everybody in both parties. And so Pa Ferguson, his grift sounds almost typical. I mean, it's illegal and it's unethical, but it wasn't like extraordinary compared to his contemporaries. It's just the fact that he had pissed off people in both parties. And so whenever you get impeached, that's what it really comes down to. It's not the truth of the evidence on the table. It's like the other senators that are in the state house right now, how many of them are on your side and how many of them would benefit if you lost your job? And so there were more guys on the former lieutenant governor's side when the impeachment came around, because Paul Ferguson refused to sign the budget unless the old lieutenant governor lost his job at UT. So they had an impeachment, and he's the only guy to get impeached from a statewide job in Texas history. Ken Paxton's going through it right now. This is the only example we have of what Ken Paxton's going through, and there's some funky parallels because Ken Paxton has pissed off both parties. Democrats always hated him, and then he had this internecine civil war with the Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, and he tried to get his ass kicked out of his seat, and he failed. So now he's probably going to die in this impeachment. However, after all this rolls over and court cases and whatever go through, there's an unsuccessful bid for Senate from Paul Ferguson, and he doesn't become senator of Texas. But when you get impeached, you're not allowed to run for a statewide office again. But it didn't say anything about Ma Ferguson. Well, in 1924, Ma Ferguson runs for governor. But at all the campaign stops, Pa Ferguson's with her. It's Ma and Pa Ferguson running for governor. Although on the paperwork, it's just Ma Ferguson.
Sure.
And they're doing exactly what you think they would do. They're having fun with it. And they're saying you're getting a 2-for-1 deal. And they were so popular, the state, the voters here, they didn't really care about the corruption. They were doing a good job running the state. You know, things are pretty good. You know, economy was good. We like the job they did. You know, whether they're hooking up their friends or not, we prefer their policy positions to this other guy. And so Ma Ferguson actually won the election in 1924 and became the first elected female governor in American history. She was elected on the same day as the other one in Wyoming, who was sworn in a few days earlier. But that was a special election anyway, and we're going to take credit because we're Texas.
Right.
Things. So there is a precedent for what Ken Paxton's going through now, and so it doesn't look very good for Ken Paxton. If historical precedent holds, and we only have one, so it's definitely anecdotal. But the determining factor is that he's really pissed off too many people in both parties, that he's probably a dead man walking. But that doesn't mean his political career is done. After this, he could just turn around and run for Senate of Texas to D.C. and still be eligible for his political career. And that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen. Watch, because he's not popular.
Now, look, if this happened, and I was watching a whole bunch of this today, I would say that his goose is cooked for all of those reasons, certainly that you just listed, but also because he was so incredibly sloppy and the evidence against him is so incredibly dense. I mean, first of all, the guy, his business partner, you know, the guy, I don't know if you're familiar. Do you know like what he's being accused of? That Rico Suave, I called him his little business partner that they were sharing the mistress with, and that basically this guy gave him all kinds of money for his campaign to run for attorney general. And then in return, Ken Paxton's office was writing warrants at his request. Like he wanted his people in business against him to be arrested. So Ken Paxton was having these, And by the way, this was all going on while the FBI was doing an active investigation into this guy. So Paxton didn't even know that his partner was being investigated by the FBI for this stuff. That evidence is really rough. It's a fascinating case though, because as you just talked about Ma and Pa Ferguson, hey, Ann Paxton, his wife, is a sitting senator in Texas. So the family still has some kind of power base. By the way, I was wondering today during the noon show if his wife, who is a senator, and the Senate is hearing the case against him, Ken Paxton, Attorney General of Texas, I wondered what his wife was doing. Like, what was the rule there? And I said, well, she shouldn't have to recuse herself because she is a duly elected senator. And yeah, she happens to be married to him, but so what? Her job is as a senator. Anyway, she did recuse herself, so she's not participating in it. Did you get to see any of it today? It doesn't look good for him. I mean, everybody seems to be against him.
Yeah, he doesn't have any friends in that building, and there's no one that can help him outside that building.
He's got 10. He's got 10 friends. That's pretty much out of 40. And that's a problem. Because those were the 10 people who voted to have all of these charges dismissed. Before they started the trial, of course, his attorneys put it to the council to have them all dismissed. This is ridiculous. I demand a vote to dismiss. You know, they always do that. It's very procedural.
Sure.
And yeah, that was 30-10. So he knew from the beginning that there's a pretty big uphill climb here because there's 30 people who are like, no, let's hear the evidence. And 10 people who are like, no, we don't even want to hear the evidence. So
All right. I also wanted to bring this up for, the fun little World War III watch that we like to, check in on every once in a while.
yes, World
Yeah,
War
we had
III is
some
coming.
drone strikes shutting down 4 Moscow airports. How fun is that? What could possibly go wrong? Let's keep backing Putin into a corner. The guy with the second biggest nuclear arsenal on planet Earth. What could possibly go wrong?
People could. Never mind. I'm not going to take your bait. All right. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to argue? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Drones. I'm all for it. They've been lobbing bombs inside the Kremlin for months now. I thought it was coming from an insurgency inside, but it turns out the Ukrainians are getting pretty good with their drone warfare. Those have been their most effective tools, at least in the last few weeks. I mean, you've been seeing a lot of these stories, haven't you? I mean, these Ukrainian drones, they're using them to great effectiveness.
Man, I'm trying not to watch this because this is just. I mean, there's no good outcome. We just want them to stop.
Yeah, I'm off the war too. You know what I mean? I can't. I stopped following the war about 3 weeks into it. I was like, I thought it was supposed to be over in 10 days, right? Wasn't it going to be Russia rolling in, putting up their flag, and it was going to be over? We're going on year 2 now. It's Ukraine war. Whatever, them crazy kids, they'll figure it out.
All right. I want you to also notice that in my caption here, right there, my
James
first
Buffett.
name, but that's his name, Jimmy Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes by Jimmy. And I do have a problem with the grown adult men named James that continue to go by Jimmy. Everyone from Jimmy Graham to Jimmy Buffett to Jimmy Carter. Like Jimmy Carter, you're like 96. You can go ahead and go by James now. It's okay. You're not childish and carefree and a fun little sprite. You're a geezer, and it's only one syllable anyway. So you're using a 2-syllable substitution for a 1-syllable name. It doesn't even make goddamn sense. So yeah. Your thoughts on Jimmy Buffett?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm not going to push back on you on that. I have a real problem with people who just it's at some age you need to stop being Johnny or Jimmy or you know what I mean? And you got to, kind of be a grown up. Jimmy Buffett, my thoughts on Jimmy Buffett. Not a fan. Seemed like a good dude. Like, you know what I mean? Seemed like a good dude, but a good dude who like really caught lightning in a bottle because the Jimmy Buffett's success isn't about him being a McCartney or Dylan or Springsteen or Prince level songwriter, right? He just created a lifestyle brand and a whole bunch of people with expendable incomes, and I'm talking about white professionals over 40, they embraced it. So he could tour every summer, and he knew that every dentist in town would come out and pay premium top dollar for their tickets. And then it's a lifestyle thing. But, like Margaritaville, awesome song, man. Fun song, catchy as hell. It ain't Sympathy for the Devil, though. It ain't like, whoa, that's some really great moving stuff. It's a party song. So I applaud him for that. But, I don't think he's like, he's never won a Grammy and he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, because he's a lifestyle brand. Jimmy Buffett, that's what I'm saying. Jimmy Buffett is a fun lifestyle brand with the likes of Tommy Bahama. How's that? Tommy Bahama and Jimmy Buffett are like the same thing to me.
Well, I consider Jimmy Buffett to be actual pop music by the raw definition of what pop music is. Pop is just short for popular. And this is music that doesn't offend anybody and is appealing to the masses, not appealing to musicians, not appealing to people who know what a scale is or what keys are or who can play an instrument. This type of music is almost offensive to you if you're a musician, but you realize that this is not for you. This is for people who don't know squat about music. This is the kind of music that you love. And I can't blame you for it. I can't get mad. I try not to get mad about it. But this is like Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol's not really an artist. Andy Warhol made art for people who don't know jack squat about art.
But had expendable income. to spend on stuff that they could pretend is art. That was Andy Warhol's bit. And yeah, and Jimmy Buffett had the exact same demographic. A Jimmy Buffett concert, the parking lot was filled with Mercedeses and Lexuses and BMWs. It's a bunch.
In the later years, he had to sort of Jerry Garcia his way through the 70s and 80s,
Yes,
from what I
yes.
understand.
But James, since about 1990, I mean, since about the time that Jimmy Buffett himself was in his mid 40s, the audience that came out to his shows were all white collar professionals who were just cutting loose for a weekend. I'm a parrot head this weekend. It's like this whole weird cult that they would join, and then they'd be your accountant on Monday. But so it was like that kind of a scene that he created. He was worth over $1 billion. I mean,
That's what it should be, because you add up the restaurants and the resorts and the bars, and there's like 8 Jimmy Buffett establishments along, like, from New Orleans to Gulfport along the coast there, until you get around to Florida. And you know what? I've been to some of them. They're absolutely enjoyable. I get it. I love the whole laid back beach vibe, but he kind of fell into the pop culture niche of sort of the default guy for the laid back beach vibe. Like, who do you think of, Mistress of the Dark for Halloween? Well, Elvira. Well, who's she competing against? I don't know, Morticia Adams, kind of.
Vincent Price.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but
that's who Jimmy Buffett is. I mean, who's he competing against? Like Bob Marley,
Boris Karloff,
Kenny Chesney, kind of does the no shoes, no shirt, no problem. Kind of, but I mean, he sort of owned that space, and he became the pop culture default beach guy. So if you were just a basic,
but it's not just beach guys, James. You see, you're missing the money. You're
right. It's white guys from Wichita.
It's dudes who can afford to travel to the Caribbean. It's dudes who can afford to vacation in the Bahamas. But also, James, it's dudes with $300,000 boats. It's the whole boating lifestyle people too, and those are millionaires. Now they're not the richest of the rich, but they're freaking rich people. Like, those are the people that own 2 car dealerships and all of that. It's not LeBron money, but it's big money. That boating crowd, he appealed to them. Here's the best thing. Here's the best way to sum up Jimmy Buffett. James, name 3 Jimmy Buffett songs. The guy had a 50-year career. Name 3. Can you name 3? Yeah. I know you can name 1.
Margaritaville.
Right. Maybe 2.
Cheeseburgers in Paradise.
There you go.
And boat drinks.
Is that a real song?
Yeah, boat drinks.
Okay, there you go. All right, there you go. But my point is this. It's not like he has a whole bunch of super recognizable songs outside of, I always say 3. It's a 5 o'clock somewhere, right? That's when if you work in bars.
It's an Alan Jackson song featuring Jimmy Buffett, but I would accept
that. I thought Jimmy Buffett did it first in the 70s. Isn't that from a Jimmy Buffett? Yeah, that's from a Jimmy Buffett album.
Alan Jackson. He never had a #1 song until Alan Jackson wrote that song and let him do the third.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, all right. Very good. Okay. So then I can only name 2: Cheeseburger in Paradise and Margaritaville. And those are basically, man, those are like pop songs for sure, but they're almost like novelty songs. Cheeseburger in Paradise and Margaritaville are novelty songs. I don't know.
Well, novelty songs make it sound like that he doesn't have other hits, or no one else has hits that sound like that. Well,
he doesn't really have any other hits. He doesn't.
He didn't have a hit. Margaritaville was never #1.
He was just a phenomenon. He was a lifestyle brand, and he did concerts, and people came out and they watched him play, and he made a lot of people happy. And I know cool ass dudes who like him a lot, so I got no problem with Jimmy Buffett. But it's just like, I'm like, really? He's a billionaire.
Yeah. And look, if your favorite musician or one of your favorite musician is Jimmy Buffett, then you don't really like music. You're not into music.
I would agree with you. Yeah, that is, well.
Look, if your favorite movie of all time is The Godfather, then you don't really like movies. And if your favorite car is a Lamborghini, you don't really like cars. You don't know. You just.
Okay, wait a second. That's interesting. Why, if your favorite movie is The Godfather, do you not? Because that's #1 on most critics' greatest film of all time list.
because it has fallen into sort of the acceptable pop culture niche of
Okay.
greatest movie of all time. If
So
you
if,
think the
if you were
worst band in the world is Nickelback, and if 20 years ago you thought it was Creed,
okay,
then you're just falling into the default position that you've seen the most of the people take around you. And that's okay, but you don't know what you're talking about.
and if you were full of shit trying to pass yourself off as a movie person, that would be a safe one for you to go. That's the greatest film of all time. So okay, so I see what you're saying. All right.
Yeah, but I think few people who say that actually, of all the movies they've watched, that's the one they enjoyed the most.
I don't know, man. It's like number 2 or 3 on my list.
It'd be in my top 10.
I mean, I love that movie. All right, so yeah, Jimmy Buffett died. He died of skin cancer. How about that, huh? Jimmy, the beach lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not good for the brand. It's not good for the brand for Jimmy Cancer to be dying of skin cancer.
Jimmy Buffett to be dying of skin cancer.
Who did I say? Jimmy who?
Cancer.
Jimmy who?
You said Jimmy Cancer.
Yeah, that ain't good. All right.
Too soon.
Let me leave you with little Gary Busey being Gary Busey.
Oh, I didn't see this video. Yeah, please show me. I'm a big Gary Busey fan.
So Gary Busey, legendary actor.
Do you remember Gary Busey? Remember having him on the show?
Yeah, he's very difficult. He was very difficult.
See, did we just have him on? We had him on one time when I was there. Was that the only time he was on?
No, he's been in studio with us twice.
Oh my God. Okay. I only remember one time, and he was in his Jesus phase on that one. And I, as a fellow Christian, was very annoyed by, I'm in the office, like editing some audio for a bit, and I have to hang out with Gary Busey. He's not cool and fun anymore. Like, he's been in a car wreck and he's brain damaged and he's like breathes out of his mouth. And
right.
He's like, "What are you doing over there?" I'm like, "Working, Gary Busey." He's like, "Have you heard the good news?" I'm like, "Is this a Jesus thing?" Yeah.
Oh, was he? Was he preaching Jesus to you?
Preaching Jesus to me. I'm like, "Listen, I'm already a Christian. I got a lot of work to do." Right. And it's funny how, like, even when you're a 25-year-old a-hole like me, like, Midland celebrities get on annoying super quick.
Well, here's the thing. He shouldn't be a middling celebrity, and he's probably more, but Gary Busey is more than middling. The Buddy Holly story, the first movie that he ever did that made him famous, he was incredible. I mean, right out of the blocks, he was nominated for an Oscar. I mean, he was incredible. And then it's just like, I don't know, he did stupid movies from then on. Like, he didn't build on that as a great dramatic actor. He just, I don't know. And then
I was under the impression he had a car wreck and he's just kind of a goofball now.
Yeah, he did. I think it was a motorcycle. He fell off and cracked his head on the cement, and he's a little bit brain scrambly now. So he's in the news because he was in a parking lot in Malibu, where he lives, of a shopping center, and he rams into the back of another driver. And he just leaves. And so the other driver,
really?
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's Busey. So the other driver just chases him, and she's filming the whole time. And she pulls up alongside him. Well, let's just watch. This is from TMZ. Gary Busey being Busey out there.
Sir, you hit my car. I need your information. Sir!
Okay, that's Busey. Did you see him looking at her?
Sir, you hit my...
Those big giant horse teeth, man. You can see him anywhere. All right, here we go. So he doesn't care. He rammed into her and he's just going home.
My car. I need your information. Sir! You hit my car!
Does she not know it's Busey?
Wiped out.
It doesn't matter. That's not how this works. You hit my car. You have scuffs all over your car.
Yeah. Can you see it all? Like, you can even see it.
Scuffs.
Hit my car. You have scuffs all over your car.
See, like,
allegedly, reportedly, whatever.
Progressive Insurance.
I want the number. I want the information.
No.
Sir, you hit my car.
I'm private.
It doesn't...
He's not giving her his insurance because he's a private guy. I'm private. Notice the NFL hat. He's got the old grandpa style hat, that's all like crumpled up on top. He's got the old grandpa style hat, and he's got handicap plates. Like, he's rolling around in a handicap plated
matter.
Volvo.
You hit me. You hit my car. No, you rear-ended me. You can't hit someone and then leave. Yo, that's not okay. You hit my car. Sir, you don't get to just leave hitting someone. Dude,
He's got the handicap, everything going. He's out of F's to give,
what
James.
the fuck? You can't hit someone and then just leave.
And when you're Busey, ladies and gentlemen, that's Hollywood royalty right there.
Great video. Love it. It's good to know Gary Busey's just out there being Gary Busey. You know, life's hard over here. Some of us are working 70 hours a week, got 4 kids, trying to juggle all this housewife life, all this thing going on. Gary Busey's just out there playing bumper cars and pulling away.
You don't care. He didn't want it.
Me too. Why would he?
He just figured no. Except here's the thing. That's a young woman. Well, here's the thing. She'll get it fixed because it's obvious. Look, she's got it. TMZ is running it. We know it's Busey,
They're gonna be
right?
fine.
They're gonna be fine. But just the idea that, like, what if that wasn't video recorded? Like, what if, like, are there celebrities running around with, you know what I mean? Is this
They do
something?
it all the time. Oh, you know they do.
Do they? I mean, maybe not now because everybody records everything, right? But I mean, like in 1975, was Bob Hope like slamming into people and going wah, and just driving off?
If you
No one
felt
will
like it, yeah.
Maybe, I guess. All right, James, tell people about Florida stories.
Guys, wherever you're already listening to podcasts, unless you're not listening to podcasts, which you should probably start, just listen to mine and no others. Actually, I had my best week ever last week, so thank all of you.
Yay! Very good.
Goodness.
All right. Oh, well, there he goes.
What? Was there something else?
No, there's absolutely nothing else. We'll see you guys tomorrow at noon, although there has not been a tip yet today, so I don't know if there's going to be an executive producer of tomorrow's noon show. That's pretty much indicative of the whole situation with that show. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow at noon for high noon. And bye, everybody.
It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest.
Hold on. Barney, you are absolutely right. I always used to confuse Gary Busey for Nick Nolte too. I used to, like, when I was younger, I was like, wait, which one is which? Good observation, Barn. Good one.
Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.